Welcome to DEMOCREPUBLIX, where we cover the real news that matter to we the people. The hidden history of the CIA Black Ops in the Caribbean and the JFK Assassination. The Washington Standard reports that we've known about the Central Intelligence Agency involvement in the drug trade coming into America for decades. It's been reported on and documented during that time, but often people simply don't believe it's true, or they look at you like you have a tinfoil hat on, or they allow the CIA to call you a conspiracy theorist, a term they basically coined to try to shut you down from telling the truth. Yet long before Jeffrey Epstein set up shop in the Caribbean, the CIA was there along with some friends. Our friend Corey Lynn of CoreyDiggs.com has begun to provide some researchers' findings on a variety of information. In a recent piece, The Sharp Edge, as she is known, documented the hidden history of the CIA Black Ops in the Caribbean, from No Name Key to Norman's K to Disney's Castaway K and beyond, in a piece titled Kingpins of the Caribbean. Here's what she uncovered. Operation 40, a CIA-sponsored hit squad in the 1960s, was a mixed group of Cuban exiles, Italian wise guys, and square-jawed military intelligence types. Created under Eisenhower in March 1960, controlled under VP Nixon, and funded by George Herbert Walker Bush, this secretive team has been implicated in the assassination of JFK, CIA drug trafficking, Watergate, and even the 9/11 cover-up. Taken in Mexico City nightclub in 1963, this is the only known picture of the original members of Operation 40. Frank Sturgis. The man hiding behind his lapel is Frank Sturgis. Before he became known as the Watergate burglar, Sturgis was a CIA operative for Operation 40. He moved to Cuba in 1956 and began in 1958 offered to train Castro's troops, including Che Guevara, in guerrilla warfare to overthrow Batista. Castro accepted the offer, but had immediate need for guns and ammunition. So Sturgis became a gun runner for Castro with the help of Jack Ruby and funded from the CIA. When Castro seized power, Sturgis was part of a rebel firing squad that executed 71 of their opponents. Sturgis was photographed holding a rifle on the top of a mass grave afterwards. Sturgis became involved with Marita Lawrence, who was having an affair with Fidel Castro in January 1960. Sturgis and Lawrence took part in a failed CIA honeypot scheme in an attempt to poison Castro. Sturgis escaped Cuba in 1960, spending the next 3 years as a parliamentary commander at No Name Key, training Cuban exiles for the Bay of Pigs attempt to overthrow Castro, which ultimately failed. After the Bay of Pigs mission to overthrow Castro failed in October 1962, the U.S. and Soviet Union engaged in a tense 13-day standoff over nuclear-armed Soviet missiles in Cuba. Facing pressure from all sides, Kennedy averted nuclear war, which displeased the deep state military-industrial complex. It was after this pivotal moment in history that Kennedy realized the grave dangers that the CIA and the military-industrial complex posed on a vow to splinter the CIA into thousands of pieces and scatter into the winds. However, that wasn't all this same Operation 40 that was put together in order to take out Fidel Castro was then targeted on President Kennedy. The Sharp Edge continues. It seems that members of Operation 40, originally recruited to remove Fidel Castro, had been redirected to kill Kennedy, that someone had paid this team of assassins to kill the President of the United States as part of a freelance operation. This is not such a far-fetched idea when you consider that in 1959, Richard Nixon was approaching oilmen like George Walker Bush and Jack Critton to help fund Operation 40. According to undercover CIA operative Marita Lawrence, she met Frank Sturgis again with Oswald 2 Cuban exile leaders, and 2 Cubans in the days prior to JFK's assassination. Lawrence claimed they were all members of the Operation 40 assassination squad, and Oswald had visited the Operation 40 training camp in the Florida Everglades. Frank Sturgis himself admitted that this assassination group, Operation 40, would, upon orders, naturally assassinate either members of the military or the political parties of the foreign country that you were going to infiltrate, and if necessary, some of your own members who were suspected of being foreign agents. Years later, on June 17, 1972, Sturgis and others were arrested while installing electronic listening devices in the National Democratic Party campaign offices located at the Watergate office complex in Washington. The phone number of E. Howard Hunt was found in an address book of the burglars, which enabled reporters to link the break-in to the White House. Frank Sturgis claimed to his dying day that he acted under orders from the White House. Notice all the big names that were named, and many of these names have turned up in various theories on who and how Kennedy was killed, in contrast to the official narrative put out in the Warren Report. Of course, most famous was the confession of E. Howard Hunt on his deathbed, where he claims to be a bench warmer in the big event, his preferred euphemism for the JFK assassination. Let's check out this video here of his confession.
Sturgis and Morales and people of that ilk stayed in apartment houses during preparations for the big event. Their addresses were very subject to change, so that where a fellow like Morales had been one day, he was not necessarily associated with that same address the following day. In short, it was a very mobile experience. Let me point out at this point that if I had wanted to fictionalize what went on in Miami and elsewhere during the run-up for the big event, I would have done so. But I don't want any unreality to tinge this particular story, or the information, I should say. I was a bench warmer on it, and I had a reputation for honesty. I think it's essential to refocus on what this information that I've been providing you, and you alone, by the way, consists of. What is important in the story is that we've backtracked the chain of command up through the Courtmeyer and laying the doings at the doorstep of LBJ. He, in my opinion, had an almost maniacal urge to become president. He regarded JFK as he was, in fact, an obstacle to achieving that. He could have waited for JFK to finish out his term and then undoubtedly a second term. So that would have put the LBJ at the head of a long list of people who were waiting.
There was deadly animus against the president among the Miami CIA men in 1963. The Sharp Edge also provided information on Felix Rodriguez. As a member of Operation 40, Felix Rodriguez is a former CIA parliamentary operations officer known for his involvement in the Bay of Pigs invasion. As part of the CIA-backed Brigade 2506, Rodriguez snuck into Cuba in the weeks prior to the Bay of Pigs to assassinate Castro. The mission failed. Felix Rodriguez headed a mission to catch Che Guevara. when Guerrero was captured, it was Rodriguez who performed the interrogation before ordering his execution. It is said that Rodriguez possesses Guerrero's Rolex watch to this day as a trophy. As CIA director in the mid 1970s, and as Ronald Reagan's vice president, Bush helped forge a world of strongmen wars, cartels, and refugees that continues today. In particular, he was deeply involved in the events that became known as the Iran-Contra scandal, a series of illegal operations that began with a secret effort to arm Contra fighters in Nicaragua in the hopes of toppling the leftist Sandinista government. This effort became connected to drug trafficking, trading weapons for hostages with Iran, and banking scandals. Rodriguez ran the Contra supply depot in El Salvador and served as the bagman in the CIA's deal with Medellin. Then there was Porter Goss. While a member of Yale's secret society, Book and Snake, his junior year, Goss was tapped to join the CIA. His years as an agent from 1960 through 1971 remain much of a mystery, but he has confirmed that he worked in Latin America and the Caribbean, including Haiti. Goss has stated that he was involved in the Caribbean missile crisis and had some very interesting moments in the Florida Straits, the body of water between No Name K and Cuba. When asked about his membership in Operation 40, Goss categorically denied it, stating that he never heard of Operation 40. Goss served as a Republican member of the House from 1989 through 2004, and then became the last director of Central Intelligence and the first director of the CIA following the Patriot Act, which he co-sponsored. Porter Goss was also a co-chair of the Joint 9/11 Intelligence Inquiry. Porter Goss and Bob Graham, who led the joint congressional hearing on the 9/11 attacks, both were having breakfast on the morning of September 11th, 2001, with the man who reportedly wired $100,000 to Mohammed Atta, the head of the Pakistani intelligence service. Chairman Porter Goss said, "An existing congressional inquiry has so far found no smoking gun that would warrant another inquiry into the 9/11 attacks. This statement points to an obvious cover-up. The smoking gun was right there sitting in the plush surroundings of the congressional breakfast venue on Capitol on the morning of September 11th. And then there was Barry Seal. As an incredibly skilled pilot, Barry Seal began his career in the CIA in 1958, gun running for Castro to assist in the overthrow of Batista. At the time, the CIA supported the overthrow of Batista, but soon after Castro gained power, the CIA ordered operations to overthrow Castro. Barry took part in the air attacks on the new Castro government. Barry took part in training Cuban exiles with Frank Sturgis on No Name Key. Barry Seal is alleged to have been the pilot that flew the getaway plane out of Dallas after the JFK assassination. Barry claimed to work for David Ferrie, who said was CIA. Barry Seal helped Carlos Leder, Pablo Escobar, and the Medallion Cartel revolutionize drug trafficking to the U.S. Prior to the use of skilled pilots like Barry, they smuggled only small amounts of cocaine through drug mules. With the Barry Seal's flying expertise, the cartel was able to smuggle tons of cocaine into the country. By his own admission, Seal became the Medallion Cartel's chief link to the cocaine markets in the southeastern U.S. Seal became known as the biggest drug smuggler in the U.S. history. The cartel would ship tons of cocaine to Carlos Leder's private island, Norman Cay, where it would then be flown into the U.S. Barry moved his base of operations from Louisiana to Mena, Arkansas, under Governor Clinton, where his well-connected and officially protected smuggling operation based in Mena accounted for billions in drugs and arms. Carlos Leder and Barry Seal continued operations from Norman JFK Island without fear from the DEA, who knew of the operation, or the Bahamian government, who gave them their blessing. In 1984, Escobar ordered the assassination of the Colombian Minister of Justice, Laura Bonilla, after which Carlos' letter went into hiding, and operations of the Norman K was shut down. That same year, Barry Seal was indicted for drug smuggling and money laundering. He then became an informant who divulged information on the Medallion drug trafficking operation, which ultimately led to the indictment of Norman Sanders, Prime Minister of Turks and Caicos. Before he was able to testify, Barry Seal was gunned down by members of the Medallion cartel, which became the official headline news. However, with the private phone number of George Herbert Walker Bush in Barry Seal's trunket, the time of the assassination, it is alleged that Bush ordered the hit. And people think George H.W. Bush is in heaven. Yeah, right. There are more in the pieces that ties to Disney and more information on Escobar. In fact, you really should check out her latest report on exposing the keys to Disney operations and agenda at CoreyDiggs.com, in which she states, if the world only had the eyes to see the fibers which lay under the surface of Walt Disney's image, they'd tar and feather him and drag him through the streets. If only they knew what Disney's primary goal is. And Disney ties in a lot with the CIA. We know that the CIA gives Disney a lot of its technology and stuff to test out on people. They were like one of the first people to fingerprint individuals. Disney was one of the first people to use facial recognition, the first major companies to use facial recognition and other technology and such like that. But let me know what you think of this article and about the history of the CIA and the JFK assassinations. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out DEMOCREPUBLIX.com for the latest in news. Until next time.
We live in a really nightmare. We live in a really nightmare.